left-hand side. How about that step and pace off the mark? Short ball, try! Chance favours the brave. How good was that?
What a brilliant try.
Both sides have thrown everything at it in the last 80 minutes. Another great example of why we love the great game of rugby league.
My name is Joseph Green and I'll be taking you through all the action today. And what better way to kick off the season than Richmond Rovers. Taking on the Papakura Sea Eagles in a repeat of last year's Fox Memorial Grand Final with the Stormont Shield on the line. And an absolute cracker of a day for footy. As I introduce my commentary partner here for today, the General Manager of Football Development, as well as a bit of a part-time model, some would say, Viggo Rasmussen. Welcome to ARL League.
Thank you, Joey. It's a pleasure to be here with you calling this one, mate. We're definitely set for a blockbuster as we look to go into a bit of a moment of silence here for the loss of Philly Tao's father, who's in the Richmond Prem Reserves, Nanai Molipopo Tangia Lau Tui Vaiti.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May you rest in peace.
And Viggo, what an absolute cracker of an afternoon this is going to be. Like we touched on earlier, a repeat of last year's grand final. And if you remember the Fox Memorial Grand Final last year, you know, it ended in a golden point thriller through a field goal from Beau Court. So no doubt we're in for a hard-hitting game here this afternoon.
We sure are, Joey. It's, in my opinion, it's going to be a bit of a battle of the forward packs here today. Both sides have some big props and second rowers there that are going to do the damage. And as we see the team list,
as we take a look at the Richmond team list, like you touched on, it's going to be a massive matchup in the middle. You know, you got the likes of Trent Schumkel and Harrison Sutton in the front row, and then coming off the bench, you got Sione Ngahe, who is well known around the competition as one of the best impactful props in the comp. As we're underway, Papakura kicking off left to right on your screen, and Richmond with first possession of the ball. Sutton getting us the first carry on this year's Fox Memorial competition and working their way already up to the 30-metre line on tackle 2. What a great start for that Richmond would be after, Viggo.
Yeah, mate, they're just starting nice and composed here. A couple of hit-ups through the middle. Looks like a normal roll set as they look now to go down the short side. They'll be just wanting to get into a bit of the grind here, get through the motions, get a few sets under their belt, and then look to put some pressure in by getting the ball in the right position when they kick.
Courts through the middle of the field. Hands it off to Sutton now as we work our way into tackle 5. Atai goes left and finds Courts again. A bit of a low wobbly one there from Beau Courts. This is predominantly what he's known for, and James Dowie, one of the better fullbacks in our competition, returns out to start our match. And like we touched on before the game, Viggo, what a cracker of a day to get our season started.
17 degrees, mate, under the beautiful sunshine. It's been a bit rainy here in Auckland over the last few days, so it's nice that the weather gods have provided and done us a solid one today for all the footy around the Auckland district today. It's been awesome to see the young ones out.
A cracker day, and the Richmond club, it's absolutely hissing. So great to see so many people out again supporting our local game. It's Papakura just slowly working their way up to halfway through Terrell Sala. And into last tackle as well for Papakura. And still very early days, and a wobbly kick there from Daly Dutton. A bit hard for Courts to take there, but hands it off to Mikey Williams for his first hit up of the game. And Williams has been around the Fox Memorial scene for a few years now and finds himself back at Richmond after a few years, but he's always known as one of their most impactful ball carriers, isn't he?
He sure is. He's been a bit of an electric wire through the grades as well, coming through via St Paul's. Had little stints with the New South Wales Cup and trials and things like that. So been around, a seasoned campaigner now, and he finds himself a home back at Richmond, probably where it all started for him.
Ethan Fingotsa taking a carry up there. Looks like Ratima actually and Richmond just working their way back to the middle of the field now. Still very early days in this matchup, and no doubt the teams will just be finding each other's rhythm as Courts goes to the air, but well taken there by Dowie. Safe as anything at fullback for Papakura, and they'll start their set around 25-ish metres out from their own try line, and they'll just want to find their way back up the field. Tui Vailopa taking a carry there. Chris Masina, Tui Vailopa, a pretty promising junior out of the Papakura Sea Eagles club. Played in the Fox Reserves Grand Final for the club last year at fullback and finds his way into the Premier side this year, so a great opportunity for him to find his feet in this competition. A tough carry there for Papakura as they slowly get their way up to halfway, and we see our first penalty of the game. A tough carry there from Stedman Lefau, and just got tipped a bit too far over the horizontal there, Vigo.
Yeah, a little bit unnecessary here, just the leg lift at the end. Shumko obviously just trying to put his man on the ground, puts him in a dangerous position, and, you know, rightly so, referee Paki Parkinson calls a penalty.
Now Richmond going to start their set about 30 metres out. Papakura, starting their set about 30 metres out from the Richmond try line, and we probably haven't touched on it so much, Vigo, but the battle of the two number 8, Shormkul and Stedman Lefau as they break through the line. Some great shape there from Papakura, and Arthur Crichton played his part as the first receiver in that play. Finds himself back on the ball, and what a start from Papakura there, Vigo.
Yeah, nice shape out on the left edge there for Papakura as they hit the lead there, and Arthur finds himself open and free to take the ball under the sticks for the first points in this one.
And their play really came from nothing. They took a settler carry back towards the middle, came back out to the left, through Arthur Crichton, played short into his back rower, and then Crichton, as any good halfback would do, probably like yourself back in the day, Vigo, I'm sure you were a promising halfback, found yourself pushing through, and he's over for a try.
Don't make me blush, mate. Definitely wasn't a halfback in my days, and I definitely couldn't keep up with these fellas out there today. What a great way to start our game, though.
As we take a look at the replay, and Arthur Crichton just pushing through as any good halfback should. For those junior halfbacks out there watching, he's quite a classy player, as Arthur Crichton was a very talented junior at Papakura, was a part of the side that won their last Fox Memorial as Dowie takes the conversion.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Arthur Crichton spent a lot of time over in Penrith, and the Penrith systems was unfortunate with a few knee reconstructions which brought him back home, but it's good to see him running around and absolutely creating havoc in our Fox Memorial competition, and also the National Premiership, which is played at the end of our season.
That's right indeed, and it's probably another important battle in today's game as well. Vigo's Richmond get us back underway, a wobbly kick from Courts, but it goes into the hands of the back rower for Papakura, TJ Salima. He was quite the talented junior, as well was TJ Salima, part of Otahu Junior. And haven't seen him around in grassroots footy for a few years, but great to see him back playing Fox Memorial for Papakura. Stedman Lefau taking another carry up over the 40-metre line, it looks to be. Proctor Harwood in that dummy half. And just going back through their work, who is still very early in the game. Just ticked over the 6-minute mark here in the first half of the Stormont Shield matchup. Terrell Sulla. Another battler of the Fox Memorial has been Terrell Sulla. Dutton on the last play, puts it to the heavens. Quarters under it and manages to take it just shy of his own try line. Manages to almost get away from Proctor Harwood, but great push through there from the Papakura number 9, and they'll start their set just shy of 10 metres out from their half, and a great set there from Papakura to get them so far down the field, and hopefully keep Richmond back up this end of the field, Vigo.
Yeah, it was a good, both teams are completing some pretty good composed sets. It's a bit of an arm wrestle. I think the one try came off the back of a penalty given by Trent Shumkle, and Papakura executed a beautiful play from that. And 60-metre set after points is what you're always after, especially when you can put the kick 10 metres out from the try line.
Shomko with the carry, coming into last tackle there, and they go left to Courts again, who dinks it over the defensive line, finds some space in behind it. London's leading the chase and doesn't manage to get a hold of it, so Papakura most likely will get a 7 tackle set. Yeah, and Papakura starting 30 metres out from their own try line, but they earn a penalty. The Richmond defensive line just probably a bit too quick to get off their line there, and it rewards Papakura with a penalty, not what they would want after a forced error and earning a 7 tackle set for Papakura and then giving away a penalty off the back of it. Now Papakura starting their set about 45 out from the Richmond try line, and they work their way back to the middle through Stedman Lefau, who's been another player in this Papakura side who's seen some higher honours with the Warriors reserve grade side, as well as win a Manly before the infamous thing we know as COVID struck. So great to see players of such a high calibre giving back to grassroots footy. Back over this side of the ditch, and Papakura will no doubt be looking to settle for the middle. Stedman Lefau with another carry to settle their attack in the middle of the field. And they go left, they find Crichton, who plays out the back to his half partner in Dutton, and they come over to this left side of the field, but Masina Tuivailupa just gets taken out by his winger counterpart in Ropati Tupai, who's been a bit of a stalwart of this Richmond side for the last couple of years now, so it's probably the second best thing you'd want after a try, Vigo, is completing down this end of the field and trying to contain Richmond down this part of the green is Vigo. A
couple of sets now, really compounding some pressure is Papakura. Really enjoying the work of Daly Sutton and Arthur Crichton. Arthur's floating both sides of the field and really controlling things out there for the Papakura side. Every time they seem to move it down their left edge as well, it seems to be causing a bit of hassle for the defence of Richmond. As we see another penalty, this time in favour of Richmond. Two penalties to one now, and it'll give them some good ball opportunity here.
Yeah, just as we talk about the Papakura team hassling Richmond down this end of the field, they give away a penalty to give Richmond a few extra metres as they'll see themselves close to halfway to get this set started, and Richmond will probably just want to start mounting some pressure on the Papakura side as Papakura have done to Richmond through the first 10 minutes of the game, and I think we'll get into the grind of the match as they call it now, as Sutton takes the first carry of the set and inches his way up to the 40-metre line. A great first up carry here. And they go right, this time through Shomko, who's been one of the stalwarts of the Fox competition as well. Vigo, a very talented front rower. And Tormai plays out the back to Court, who fakes a couple of drop unders and finds London, who then goes on to Mikey Williams. But taken to ground about roughly 22 metres out from the Papakura try line. They get their way back to the middle of the field now, that time through Daniel Sau. And no doubt they'll look to shift right from Artai. They go to Tormai, plays out the back to Annandale, who drops Bo Courts under. Doesn't quite hold onto his feet and slips just shy of the Papakura try line coming into last tackle. And they play to the open side. They get the ball to Tormai, but he's held up just short. And like we just touched on down this end of the field, Vigo, they put a bit of pressure on their Papakura side now. Don't quite come away with the 4 points, but the best place you want to keep Papakura at that end of the field.
Yeah, exactly where you want to turn over the ball. There's probably the next best thing of points is keeping them down under their own sticks. So looking forward to seeing what kind of pressure they can build here against the Papakura side as they struggle to bring it out. Oh, unfortunately, just catching him high, it's going to give them a bit of a piggyback down the field.
A few penalties very early on. Vigo, being somewhat of an ex-referee yourself, no doubt it'll be not the way you'd want to start the game, giving away quite a few penalties only 12 minutes into the first half.
Yeah, definitely right. I guess referee Paki Parkinson's just trying to find the groove of the game, trying to set those standards nice and early so players kind of know where it's at, and then we're about 12 minutes in now. Players should be quite aware of the expectations of the referee and how the game's going to go for the next 60-odd minutes.
It's Papakura working their way back through to Rao. Salah had a lot of time to wind up there, so Richmond will need to start working their way in the middles again. Crichton plays early to Sutton, who drops back under his back rower, Salima. And a very tough carry there, had a lot of time to wind up again. Referee Parkinson just telling TJ Salima to stay on the mark. They go left to Crichton. Play that to a centre, and Siave Tongoiu breaks way. And Arthur Crichton, what an absolute offload there from Crichton. Gets it to his winger in Tui Vailopa. And Papakura mounting a lot of pressure here on Richmond. They shift wide. They find Keanu Dawson, a very talented footballer himself as well. A straight offload ends up in the hands of Proctor Harwood. And coming into the back end of the set now, Lefau at dummy half. Goes to Crichton, plays back on the inside. And gets an offload away. Back to Stedman, Lefau.
There we have it, Joey. That man again, Arthur Crichton, just orchestrating what he wants on the ball. Again, playing both sides. This time he finds himself on the right. A nice little inside ball to his front rower there, who then offloaded to Stedman, and he dots over for the second try of the match. They'll find themselves 10 points up now with the kick to come.
Stedman and Lefau leading from the front very early on, taking multiple carries in their set. As we take a look at the replay, got the number 8 jersey on his back, but filling in at dummy half and gets it to Crichton, who got it to James Dowie, and then finds their skipper in Lefau, who crosses over, and 10 points to nil very early on. Vigo, is that the start of a few warning signs, or are we still too early in the matchup to start talking about that?
Oh, I think the likes of their danger men are really standing up for Papakura, which is causing the issues for Richmond, unfortunately. You could see the first couple of steps of Arthur Crichton on that play. He takes the defence sideways and then plays back underneath, which straight away causes some weak inside shoulders, which allows them to offload the ball. And if he keeps this up, it could be a long day for Richmond.
Dowie slots the conversion to add the 2 extra points for Papakura, 12 points to nil after 15 odd minutes, and a lot of pressure on this Richmond side at the moment, Vigo. And with a lot of talented footballers in this Papakura side, they're not going to want to leak any more points, otherwise, like you touched on, it's going to be a very long afternoon. But when you take a look at both sides, Vigo, they're pretty evenly spread out across multiple positions. You've got a young half in the Richmond side in Kalis London, who makes his first start at this level today. But then you've got stalwarts in there like Beau Courts, who's played a bit of high-level football. If you look across to Papakura, and you've got the likes of Keanu Dawson in the 13 jersey, who's on his day is one of the best props in the competition. It's Papakura winding back up to start their set just shy of 20 metres out from their own try line. And I suppose at this early on in the game, they'll just want to keep completing, mounting the pressure on the Richmond side again and again. Bit of a slower play the ball there for Papakura from Lefau, but Salah backs up his brother with another great carry there. About 35 out from their own try line. Still a decent set here. Dutton fakes the pass and goes himself. Looks to get the ball away, but doesn't quite manage to get it away. And it goes to Dowie, who kicks early in the set. It's going to hold up for Courts. And well taken, just around the 30-metre line. Great piece of footwork there from Beau Courts. He's very nippy on his feet when he wants to be, and was probably very lippy as well on the other side to that. But Richmond just over 40 metres out from their own try line, Vigo, and they'll want to start completing again.
Yeah, I think Richmond just need to get into the grind here again. Just play normal, safe football. Get through your sets, put some kicks down, and then really apply some pressure through the defence set. As you see, a penalty here. Mark is not square, says referee Parkinson, and we'll have a penalty now about 40 out from the try line.
And a great start to the season is the Stormont Shield, Vigo. We've got 10 bumper weeks of grassroots footy to come up, obviously starting here at Grey Lynn, and then next week will be at Cornwall Park and the Women in League Ground. So lots of footy to cover across the year. But great that we're getting back to the grassroots here. And Grayland Park as Richmond go through Tormai, who plays short to Trent Shormcool. Just under 20 metres out from the Papakura try line now. Atai goes left to Tormai, who fakes and goes himself. Breaks through one tackle but can't get through Sulla, and Atai in a dummy half goes to London. Annandale goes out the bat to Courts, and Courts goes wide to his winger and Tupai, but can't quite break through the line and works his way back in. They go back to Courts, who finds Annandale shifting it wide now, and they find Sutton, who settles a carry at the left post. Atai plays to Annandale, who goes to London. He plays wide as well, but they can't quite get it to complete there, and probably not what Richmond needed, but there could be a lot worse places for their set to finish there, Vigo.
Yeah, unfortunately, they looked like threatening the line there. Unfortunately, just that last play, maybe a bit too sideways there, and ends up making it quite an easy job for Papakura to slide and defend, which ends up with the ball going out there.
Now Papakura just working their way back up the field now, crossing the 20-metre line through Siavu Tongoiu, previously played for Richmond, so very interesting to see him across on the Papakura side this year. Dutton plays for his back rower Salima, who gets a hold of it eventually. Proctor Harwood filling in at dummy half, and his slow play the ball results in a penalty for Papakura. Referee Parkinson, like we touched on, Vigo, just setting the standards early and where he needs the game to be. So great to see us trying to get a quick game of football here, Vigo.
Yeah, it is. A couple too many penalties now Richmond are giving away. They really need to rein in their discipline if they're going to have a chance in this one. Be sure that Papakura will thrive off this good ball set, and no doubt that man again, Arthur Crichton, will have his hands all over it. As we have a bit of an issue getting our balls back. They're going over the fence a few times now. Gotta love grassroots, right?
One of the downsides of grassroots footy's getting stuck in trees and over the neighbours' fences, so if your footy gets stuck over the fence, please give it back. As we get a footy on the field now, back into the swing of things as Papakura. They go back to the skipper leading from the front, Stedman Lefau. He's probably taken about 50 carries to start this game, Vigo, so great to see him leading from the front. They play right to Dutton. Takes it himself, gets away from the tackle and works his way back to TJ Salima, and a nice piece of footwork there from the back rower, so great to see him getting busy early on. Dawson plays at the back to Crichton. Doesn't quite get the option that he needs to, so he surrenders himself and holds on to the footy for his team. Dowie goes left, finds Tongoiu, who's a danger man down this end. Goes back to Jeff Tatupu. A very tough back rower is Tatupu. Probably not known for the highlight plays, but will get the job done. Dowie goes close. Bit of high contact there from... And a couple of cheeky words here from Courts after the high contact, especially down the centre of the field.
Yeah,
not what they're going to need.
Very close to the footy here, and the speech of these two boys. Obviously gone head-to-head a few times over the last few years in numerous colours, not just in the clubland, also in the National Premiership.
Probably another key matchup in this game as well, Vigo, is the battle of the fullbacks. James Dowie taking on Beau Courts today. Two very classy fullbacks on their day, two of the best in the comp, and no doubt probably two of the lippiest as well against each other as we get back underway through Sulla. Proctor Harwood in a dummy half goes to Crichton, who tries to find Tongoiu, who would have been dangerous down the end but can't quite hold on to it.
Yeah, great defence by Beau Courts there to really rush up and put pressure. He saw it from a mile away. Siave coming through, back on the cut, and he's applied enough pressure and come up with the error.
That's probably going to be a play they look to multiple times today through Tongoiu, a very damaging front row, and a lot of sides might underestimate underestimate rather his speed, but back in high school he's one of the quickest high school kids in Auckland, so we know he's got the pace in him, and a centre like that size with his amount of speed is always going to be dangerous, as Richmond start their set 10 metres out from their own try line, and they're going to just need to work their way back up the field through their big forward pack, but they look to their outside backs, and Micah Williams, like I said, a very talented junior, earns himself a penalty too. There's got to be a very high penalty count to start this game, Vigo. Like you said, we're setting standards early on as referee Parkinson, and Richmond will just work their way back up the field through a kick for touch.
Yeah, there has been a few penalties, Joey, and I think, it's unfortunately there's no really common theme, so nothing really Parkinson can do about it other than just call it how he sees it. As we start to settle into the game, hopefully, being 25 minutes in, we start to see some consistency around the standards of both teams.
Richmond just up at the 50-metre line now through the back row and Daniel Sau, and then they go to the other back row on the other side, and Isaiah Sofa Trumko up the middle of the park. He's going to be tough to stop one-on-one, and he breaks away through the tackle of Lefau, but the reinforcements come to stop him. Earns a quick play the ball as well. They go left to Tormai, who plays short to Sutton.
Beautiful.
Tries to break away from the fullback, but doesn't quite manage to get there. Atai in at dummy half, goes to Courts, who finds Shumku. Steps off the right foot and into Papakura defence, and coming into last tackle, Atai is going to go right. Finds Annandale, who dinks it through the defensive line. Ends up in the hands of Masina Tuivailopa, and he finds his way out into the field of play, does Masina Tuivailopa. A great recovery there from a nice kick from Annandale.
Yeah, it was. It's nice to see the slight touch of London on that left edge there, finding his prop going through the line, and they're just starting to find some cracks in the Papakura defence now. It's going to be good to see what these next 15 minutes is like before half time.
And we start to see the reinforcements from the interchange bench come onto the field, as we saw Jacob Bowler take his first carry of the game into the field as well. And referee Parkinson just telling the Papakura player to stay on the mark. Slows the game up a bit and hopefully earns himself a well-earned rest for a few seconds as well, as we're back underway. This time through Siawe Tongoiu, and like we touched on, he's dangerous with the ball in hand, trying to look for his options, gets to the outside, finds Crichton, well met in contact by Tupai there, and stopped in the end by Bo Courts, who has been everywhere at fullback. Dawson dinks it through the line, he's leading the chase as well, but well stopped there by Waikari Ratima for Richmond. But Papakura finding themselves back up this end of the field and continuing to mount the pressure, are they, Vigo?
Yeah, it is. It was a good show of scrambled defence, though, I must add, from Richmond to get back there and stop the try. As Siabe went through the line there, they managed to get back and stop it, and maybe Papakura got a bit lucky there, a bit of holding at the ruck of Bo Courts before the kick went through by Dawson. But here we go, goal line dropout.
Wouldn't expect anything less from Bo as we get back underway. They go short, but the footy finds itself in the hands of Ta'awhi Tuale. Probably hasn't had as much footy as he would have liked to very early, as we see his winger partner in Saul Semia filling in at dummy half. Another one who's very dangerous with the football in hand is Lewis Sosimia. Now that the options are shaping up left here, and they go left to Dawson. Plays at the back to Crichton, who plays to Dowie. They go wide to Tongoiu. Breaks away from the tackle of Ratima. And again, Papakura just seem to be hitting their straps here, and they go 16 points to nil up early against a Richmond side. As we take a look at the replay here, Vigo.
Yeah, really nice try. Just a basic front door, back door, double head runner, and then some basic hands. And unfortunately, the read there by our winger, Tupai, wasn't quite on the mark there.
Probably not what his centre partner in Ratima would have wanted on that occasion. And we can just see in front of us the Richmond boys just trying to get themselves back into this game as Dowie takes his time with the football in hand, probably awaiting the conversion as well. but not the way that Richmond would have wanted to start the season. And we've still got 50 minutes of football to play, but a great start to the season for Papakura.
Yeah, they're looking really dangerous, Joey. I think the combinations from last year, they haven't had too many changes, which helps as well. They've actually probably had a few additions come across from Howard Hornets, with also the head coach there making the move out to South with the Papakura Seagulls by Rukaloza. And, you know, when we look across the fence over to Richmond, you know, they've had over six or seven changes. Unfortunately, a lot of boys moved on and chasing the dream overseas as well. So back to the kind of the drawing board as they take the kick, and it looks good, and it is. James Dowie converts a sideline conversion, and that takes the score out to 18-0, Joey.
Yeah, and with both of these sides earning the right to not play the Fox qualifier period through the month of April, you know, you could look at it from Papakura's end at the moment. It seems to have done them a word of wonder, but you look at the Richmond side at the moment, and maybe it hasn't done them any good for the meanwhile, as we see Sione Ngahi for the Richmond side on screen. And like we touched on pre-game, probably one of the most damaging props in the competition is Ngahi on his day. The Papakura back underway this time through race Tui Vailopa. Another battler like we've touched on multiple times through the Fox competition. He's been around the game for a long time, and great to see him in a Papakura jersey for now. But Papakura on the roll at the moment. Proctor Harwood darts out a dummy half. A few cries for a bit of high contact there, but I'm sure through your referee eyes, Vigo, it's probably a pretty good tackle for Papakura as they work up over the halfway line now. Polo trying to earn a quick play the ball, but doesn't receive it from Parkinson. Dawson out the back. Dutton double pumps but takes it himself, but met by some pretty strong contact there from Daniel Sau. Manages to hold on to the ball eventually, and Salima at dummy half finds Dowie, who puts it to the sky. Nearly a bit of confusion there at the back between Korta and Tupai, but manages to take a hold of it eventually. And strong first up contact there from Tatupu. So hopefully we see Richmond bounce back in the set here. They work the ball over to Mikey Williams. Still working his way up the field, and definitely what he's known for in the competition is Vigo.
Yeah,
is Mikey Williams, and he earns himself a penalty for it as well.
He's probably been one of the best on the field for Richmond, to be fair. His energy in bringing the ball back and his carries has been next to none, one of the best. And he's earned himself 2 penalties now for his team. So looking forward to hopefully him getting more of the ball and then making a bit of an impact on the scoreboard.
Luckily we didn't lose the ball in the trees, did we, for that kick for touch, as Richmond will find themselves over the halfway line now to start this set, and they find Sione Ngahi through the middle of the field. Breaks the first contact, but Papakura meet him in contact eventually, and they go right from Artai to Tormai. Gets it away to Trent Shumku, who some great post-contact meters there from Trent Shumku, probably what he's known for in this competition as well. Annandale drops a couple of players under, but doesn't quite find the option he wants. So finds Bo Courts in the end. Just straightening up the attack as well now, and Artai in a dummy half. Looks to go right, but comes back to the left to Tormai. A great carry to settle the attack there. Just outside that left post, and they come back to the right now. They find Ngahi. Plays out the back to Annandale, who plays out the back to Court, who finds his winger in Tupai.
Beautiful.
Big dive for the corner, and it looks as though Richmond will find their first points of the season through Ropati Tupai out on that left edge. As we take a look at the Lotus Foreign Exchange replay, Court out to Ropati Tupai, and the Watene Zalesniak-esque dive in the corner, and no better way for Richmond to get their first points of the season, Vigo.
What about that finish, eh? Tupai. He let one in here down on this end. He's scored one himself now for a fantastic finish. Some real intent there in the attack was the difference in my eyes with Hawaii Annandale straightening up and then giving early ball to Mr. Bo Courts, who then fired an absolute pearler out to the edge to Tupai to score in the corner.
As we take a look at that Lotus Foreign Exchange replay, And the Papakura defence just holding a little bit too long, and once Courts gets to that outside, he still has that extra bit of pace there, this both Courts, and they cross over on the right hand side. And Richmond earning their first points of the season, and maybe that last try Papakura crossed over for was maybe the wake-up call that they needed to get their week 1 matchup back underway.
Certainly, Joey. Looking forward to seeing what Richmond can build now off the back of this as Bo Courts takes the kick, and it'll be waved away, unfortunately. I was chatting to Bo Courts earlier in the week, and he said it's been the longest, been a while since he's felt this fit. So really looking forward to how he gives back and plays a different role in this team, this young team, as they start bleeding some younger juniors through their Fox side.
Yeah, it'll be great to see the kind of impact that he can have on the likes of Kalis London, like we touched on, making his first start in the competition, and Darius Newmata off the bench as well as a very young half as well. So great to see how the senior players at this club can have an impact on the younger guys, and Lynn really putting it on for week 1. Stormont Shield on the line. And great to see the local community back out here as Nahe off the back fence. That's what we love to see from him year in, year out. Trying to earn himself a quick play the ball, and he earns the penalty for it. That's exactly what Richmond would need following scoring the points there, Vigo.
100%. What the doctor ordered, what the coach would have wanted. A great impact there by Sione Nahi. Probably the first hit up I've seen him take since he's been on the field. And he's earned himself and his team a penalty. Another one goes over the fence, Joey. We might have to send you over there, mate, and grab them.
Well, hopefully at the half-time break, I get enough time to dash over the fence and get our footies back as we're back underway. This time through Daniel Salsal. He's just gone about his work in this first half as Salsal. Hasn't had any of the highlight plays at the moment, but sometimes, like you probably say to your under-6 team of the year, Vigo, is you don't need 13 superstars out here. You just need some players on the field who will get the job done for your side and not worry about any of the highlight plays or being the superstar players. Just settling their attack now with that scrum line on the right-hand side. Annandale drifts across the field, plays short to Salsal, who breaks through her first couple of tackles. He goes over the line, and just as I give him a wrap, maybe I should keep giving these Richmond players a bit more raps. Daniel Salsal breaks the initial contact there of TJ Salema, who had a very impressive start to the game and lets one slip. Manages to get away from the contact of Lewis Sosimia and James Dowie as well, and crosses over. Daniel Salsal, as we take a look on the foreign exchange replay, Annandale drifting across field and plays short. Salima just breaks away from the tackle. Maybe the gap there between Salima and Dutton was too wide. Gets away from the contact of initially of Keanu Dawson and then of James Dowie as well. And Richmond breaking through the Papakura defence and the back end of the second half now, and exactly what Coach Henry Nicholas would want in this last 5 minutes of the first half here, Vigo.
Yeah, it was some real nice basic footy there. There wasn't much going on. Just a simple hand to the second row on the edge, early ball. See what you can do, mate. And he certainly showed us what he could do. You gave him a rap earlier, and he strolls over for a beautiful try. And now Richmond go bang, bang just before half-time. The momentum swings heavily in favour of. And now we're 8 points to 18 with 3 minutes remaining in the half.
There's that conversion there from Bo Courts, just drifts across the front of the upright. So Richmond finding themselves back in the game. 18 points to 8. We're still Papakura up over Richmond at the moment, but Richmond seem to have had all the possession in this last 7 or so minutes leading into the back end of the first half, into the halftime break. And no doubt those keen grassroots footy lovers will also be keeping an eye on the Warriors held match side in their grand final quest against Newcastle, and with 2 minutes to go, they're 24-16 up over Newcastle. So possible back-to-back premierships here for coach TJ Ashford and the staff at the Future Warriors. As the ball comes loose off the kick-off carry for Richmond, and he earned himself a penalty in that last kick-off return to Tione Ingahe, but doesn't quite earn the same on this instance as we take a look at the Lotus Foreign Exchange replay.
Yeah, it just looks like a tough tackle, ball's all tangled up, and unfortunately ball security's a big one in this game, and unfortunately Nahi didn't have it then. As we just see, it looks like the One New Zealand Warriors Harold Matthews team will be back-to-back champions. Just on behalf of the ARL, I want to congratulate them, and one of our very own TJ Ashford, who's the head of pathways at Auckland Rugby League, will be jumping up and down in his coach's box. Massive congratulations to him and the coaching crew.
Don't have too much fun in the Koru Lounge on your way back, TJ, as we're back underway here. Tupou out of dummy half. Met in strong contact there by Shormkul and Darius Niumata in the matchup for his first stint on the field as well. And they're getting closer again as this Papakura side. Tupou goes left, finds Crichton, a little jink and jive, but doesn't quite manipulate the defense like he would have wanted. And Tupou again, and at dummy half plays left to Dowie. Met in strong contact there by Beau Courts. Another key matchup there, like we've touched on multiple times there, the battle of the fullbacks. Crichton out the back to Dutton, plays it off to his back row, and Salimo's met there by Sione Ngahe. And a great way for Richmond to end the coming to the back end of the first half there and hold out a strong Papakura side there, Vigo.
Yeah, some great defense after an error off the kickoff has proven to get them the ball back, and unfortunately incorrect play the ball, lost ball.
Not what we'd want to see from Richmond coming out of their own end. However, with not too long left on the clock, referee Parkinson just calling for timing, asking for time to be stopped for the next wee moments. Just a bit of a messy play the ball there, Vigo.
Yeah, I guess just when he was regathering his feet, didn't have control of the ball, and unfortunately a little bobble as he gets to play the ball, as you can see on the replay.
Might have just been a little bobble there from hand to ground, but anyway, that's why we're in the commentary booth and not out on the field. They find Tongoiu out wide. Doesn't quite break through the line at first, but he's broken away from a couple of tackles, just showing how dangerous he can be. But stopped well there by Annandale Ratima and the young fella and Darius Niumata as well. Jacob Polo just settling the attack over this left-hand side of the field for them. And they're going to look to shift right. They find Proctor Harwood, who plays out the back to the grass, but it finds Dowie eventually. Work their way out to the centre and Ta'afi Tuali. Now, Sosimea hasn't really touched the football much in the first half, has Lewis Sosimea, but one of the dangerous players in this Papakura side as well. As time's up on the clock, we'll wait to see how much time is actually left at the match manager's table. We're coming to last tackle. A bit of an extra push there from Beau Courts. Being the usual pest that he is, but on last tackle, they shift left, they find Crichton, plays out the back to Dowie. Dowie shows and goes, gets an offload away himself, but great defence there from Richmond. Holds our Papakura again, and this last 10 minutes of the first half has been predominantly all Richmond here, Vigo.
Yeah, some real good grit and determination shown over the last 3 minutes. Richmond defending their line desperately, trying to maintain the score as it is, as they must be soon into half-time. 8 points to 18 looks much better than 8 points to 24 or 22, so they should be really proud of their efforts there. As Mikey Williams, another absolute blockbuster run through the middle there, getting his team out of trouble.
One of the standouts in this early periods of the game has been Mikey Williams, as we hear the hooter go in the background. And that'll be our first 40 minutes of the 2025 Fox Memorial season here. Halfway through this match, Stormont Shield matchup, Papakura, early favourites on at the moment, 18 points to 8 up over a strong Richmond Rovers side. We'll take a quick break. Vigo will shoot to the toilet and we'll come back to you shortly with a recap of the first half and bring you the second half action. Don't go too far. More Grassroots Footy back soon. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. Half-time and the Storm on Shield matchup of the Fox Memorial Shield. Papakura leading 18 points to 8 over Richmond. Braylon Park, Papakura getting us started. Not too far from their own try line. Saw Zemir taking possession of that one to start our second half, and Vigo, Papakura started really strong in that first half, but we got towards the last 10 minutes and Richmond seemed to take control of the game while it doesn't look as so on the scoreboard.
Yeah, they did, Joey. I think Papakura come out hiss and roar early on, and that man Arthur Cronin had his hands all over it, and you know, Richmond had to work really hard to wrestle back the momentum of the game, which they did really well, as they unfortunately give a penalty away here again. Shumkle too slow in the tackle, and Parkinson pings it as we have our first penalty 30 seconds into our second half.
Yeah, probably back into the feeling out period of the second half, as some may call it. They're finding themselves just up towards halfway. Does Papakura this time through Jacob Bolo, a bit of cheeky footwork late at the line, finds himself a few extra metres. Proctor Harwood plays out the back to Dutton, who shows and goes himself. Now about 35 metres out from the Richmond try line. They go right to Salima, who had his moments in the first half and then managed to slip away a little bit in the back end of the first half, as we can hopefully see them play a bit more consistently here as Papakura. Dutton drops under Tuivai Lupo on that one to straighten up the attack towards the back end of of the set here. Crichton finds his hands on the ball, finds some space with Dowie. Masina Tuivailopa takes a hold of it eventually, and coming into last tackle here for Papakura. Dowie looks to go down the blind side but gets it back to Crichton. Looking at his options and plays back to the left. Finds a centre who gets it back to James Dowie. Crosses over for our first try of the second half, and very similar to the start of the matchup, Vigo. Hey, crossover very early on and puts pressure on this Richmond side again.
Yeah, beautiful heads-up play there. Arthur gets the ball in the last tackle with nothing to do. Fires it back out to his centre, who then finds Dowie, as you see it on the replay. Fires it out back to his centre, then finds Dowie back on the inside. It's some really nice backyard footy, if you will, to get us started here again in the second half.
No better way for Papakura to start. Crossing early through James Dowie. As we take a look at the rest of the competitions across the Auckland Rugby League and the Fox Memorial, we have Te Aratu taking on Ponsonby United back in the Fox Memorial for the first time in a wee while, up 18-8. Up 18-8 at the moment, and looking like early favourites to take home the Roop Rooster are Ponsonby. Point Chef taken on Maris as well. Vigo still working in the background, trying to ring anyone and everyone he knows to get a score update on that one. Out at Burhead Park, Otahu taking on the Bay Roskill Vikings, 14 points to 2. Otahu, who are looking very strong on paper, I must say. And Mount Albert taking on Manukau. Always seems to be a great matchup, does that one. 12 points to 2. Mount Albert lead over Manukau as that conversion goes away, which sees Papakura 22 points to 8. However, a bit of high contact there in the lead up to the try on James Dowie. So we've got a penalty out in front, and James Dowie with another shot at goal here to add a possible extra 2 points, and an occasion that we see very rarely. Vigo, if you want to talk us through that one.
Yeah, 8-point try. Not often do you get a high shot in the act of scoring a try, but that is the rule. Any type of foul play in the act of scoring a try can result in an 8-point try, which we've just seen there, and Paki Parkinson on the money with the decision.
As we take a look at the Lotus Foreign Exchange replay, Dowie in the act of crossing the line, like we just touched on, an act of foul play in the lead up to scoring. So referee Parkinson awarding a possible 8-point try there, which sees Papakura extend their lead 24 points to 8. But if it's anything like the first half, Vigo, we might see Richmond storm home. At the back end of the second half, as we have a prime view of Race Tuivailopa steaming off the back fence into the contact of Daniel Salsal there. Hopefully by giving him a wrap on that tackle, he converts it into points sometime soon. TJ Salema there with another great carry there towards the 20-metre line of Papakura, and they shift wide very early on to Jacob Polo. They're coming back towards the middle of the field now. This time they find, or maybe that one was Jacob Polo there, and they've done the sneaky little jersey change like Gordy Gibbons told us pre-game, but Cruz Tupou breaks through very early on. Finds some support in Arthur Crichton, who's showing a bit of pace here. Gets away from the Richmond fullback, and Arthur Crichton crosses over again.
An absolute class act there. Cruz Tupou finding some space in behind the ruck. He's another seasoned veteran, been around a long time. The old infamous belly roller from last year's grand final. As you see, makes a little dart out of dummy half, finds lots of space in behind the ruck. The markers are left with nowhere to go. Again, that man Arthur Crichton backing up like any good half/fullback would. And he's got enough toe to go to the corner. Papakura really have their wings out now and they're soaring. Richmond really need to pull back some momentum in this one very urgently.
They're going to need to start finding themselves soon as Richmond. Still very early days in the second half, however. Back-to-back tries here for Papakura early on in the second half as we hopefully see Richmond find themselves after leaking more points very early on, as we see Dowie lining up another kick at goal. Probably not the start to the second half that Richmond would want to see yet again, Vigo.
Not at all, Joey, and I just think off the back of a penalty again early on in the set, the first couple sets when Shumkor held down too long. Off the back of that piggyback, Papakura have just got all this momentum now, and they're finding it really hard to wrestle it back as we see the conversion go unsuccessful. 28 points to 8 now, the score.
28 points to 8, Papakura leading over Richmond at the moment. And hopefully in this last 30 odd minutes of the Storm on Shield matchup here, we can hopefully see a strong Storm back from Richmond to make a bit of a game of this one, as we us in the commentary booth stare straight into the sun. I tell you what, it's definitely a day for it. And Tamaki Makoto today as we're back underway. That kick holds up a bit, but eventually finds the hands of Masina Tuivailopa. Up around that 20-metre line now, they come back towards the middle, this time through Salima. Tries to find his front for a quick play the ball, but doesn't quite get there, and Tupou in at dummy half. Shows the pass to Tuivailopa, but takes it himself. Does cruise Tupou. Like you said, a seasoned veteran in this Fox competition. Proctor Harwood back in at dummy half. Breaks through the initial contact, and from that tackle attempt again, gets the pass away. Tries to get it to Polo, but doesn't quite go to hand. And Richmond get their hands on the board. On the ball. About 30 metres out from their own try line, and Beaucourt's taking that carry there to get our set started. And that time there, they find their back rower there in Caleb Savelio Thompson, one of the standouts in this Richmond side. So hopefully coming off the pine, he can make a bit of an impact for the Richmond Rovers today. They find Mikey Williams, who was barnstorming in the first half, and get some great post-contact meters there yet again. Bo with a lot of time on the football and thinks it over, but well taken there by Dowie to beat Courts to the ball. And doesn't quite hold his footing there, does Dowie, but a great take there and that fullback from James Dowie, one of the classy fullbacks in the comp, Vigo.
Yeah, certainly has been around a while. Played numerous representative sides as well, New Zealand residents, Counties Manukau, Stingrays. And most recently he's taken up a new role as the trainer for Ellerslie under 18s. Go figure.
Great to see him flying the bird high at Papakura and Ellerslie, as we see Papakura working their way back up the field now, that time through Siave Tongoiu, a dangerous centre with ball in hand, and Crichton drops under his back rower, and Tuivailopa gets the offload away, that time to Cruz Tupou, who gets another offload away to James Dowie, and they break through. Breakaway through the Richmond defence again, but we must have had a held call there because we're going back to play the ball there, Vigo.
Yeah, we are. I must say there's some warning signs around the offloads and tackling by Richmond. They really need to wrap up the ball when making tackles, otherwise those offloads are going to lead to more opportunities, as we see a potential penalty here. Time off.
Players running in here, there and everywhere. Not what we want to see in our grassroots football. Salima coming onto the ball, and some big contact there from Courts. We don't think there's anything too wrong with that contact there here in the commentary booth, but that's why we're sitting on chairs and not running around on the field.
Yeah, we're also blessed to have a bit of a slow-mo and close-up on the footage, so things happen really fast, but by our qualification sitting here behind the screen, it looked like fine contact to us.
Maybe a stern warning here from referee Parkinson to both sides. There has been To be fair, when you look at that first half, there was quite a high penalty count, so no doubt we'll be wanting to avoid that. However, we've got a penalty now to Richmond, probably for multiple players from both sides wanting to come in for a bit of a cheeky cuddle, so someone's got to come away with the penalty, and on this instance it's Richmond. Anyway, we find ourselves about 25 odd metres out from their own try line, but a bit of a premature start there from Richmond. We can tell they're keen to get back on the football, aren't they, Vigo?
Yeah, they definitely need to, and I think playing up-tempo footy might be the one, as long as it's controlled and get back into the wrestle.
Mikey Williams getting their set started there. Great carrier of the football and certainly earned some post-contact metres there. Daniel Salsa, we gave him a wrap in the first half and he crossed the line, so hopefully we can see that sometime soon to get Richmond back on the front foot here in this game. Atai back on the field for his second stint of the game. Hasn't started very many games of Fox Memorial at the Richmond club, so great opportunity for him to make that Richmond 9 jersey his own. Tormai filled in at dummy half there, and they're shifting wide. Ends up in the hands there of Willie Time. Massive contact, and it's met with a penalty from referee Parkinson. Strong contact there from Marcina Tuivailopa. Whether you think that's a penalty or not, Vigo, that's completely up to you, but on the field today we've got a penalty, and we see Richmond getting the game back underway. This time we met with another penalty, and we see our first sin bin of the season here, Vigo.
We do. I guess back-to-back shoulder charges, and Arthur Crichton, the man who's been steering the ship for Papakura, will go take 10 in the naughty chair, or the parkmate bench, if you would.
Definitely not what Papakura would need at this point of the game. Met by a strong contact. We knew he spent some time in the back row at Penrith and certainly showed he's still got a bit of power in his contact there, there's Arthur Crichton, but not for any good reason. Richmond, they play left to Tormai. He also spent some time in that Penrith system as well, alongside some random halfback named Nathan Cleary. But Shonkel goes close to the try line, doesn't quite get there yet. Atai in a dummy half. Jinks out to Tormai, who finds Courts, goes wide. Finds it back to Sevilio Thompson, doesn't quite go to hand for Annandale. Plays allowed to continue. Courts finds Ratima out on their right-hand side for Richmond. If we haven't got a knock-on anywhere in their passage, then we've got 4 points.
Referees pointed to the spot. We have 6 points, 4 points on the board with the kick to come, which would make it 6. Come on. And yeah, bit of off-the-cuff play there. Bo Courts throws it out to centre. Offload back on the inside. A little bobble. Would have been back to 1. And then another beautiful ball here by Courts again, in behind the winger. Class act.
Very class act when he wants to be. When he's not being a pest as Bo Courts anyway. Papakura 28 points to 12. Still leading over the Richmond Rovers, but a very costly 10-minute period here for Papakura. Could that be where we see Richmond come back into the game? As we look at the Lotus Foreign Exchange replay, they went wide early to Sevilio Thompson. Didn't quite go to hand of Annandale. Whether it was forward or backwards, that's not what we can tell from the camera angle. And then they go wide to Ratima, who dotted down the 4 points. Bo Courts added the extra 2 points on that conversion there too. So we see a 14-point ball game now, 28 points to 14. Papakura over Richmond at the moment. And there's still a lot of football to be played in the second half. Vigo, could we see a close finish, or could we see Papakura storm back out to a lead, hopefully?
I think with Arthur in the bin, Arthur Crichton, they've got an opportunity here to really play some sensible footy and just play some high percentage play so that we can see them get back into the wrestle. They've managed to get 6 points now on the board. They could easily turn some more points on the board as we saw in the second half.
Richmond just working their way back up the field now. That time they go to Willie Time. And then we get back to Trent Shormkul, getting their side closer to halfway and exactly the end of the field. A massive play the ball there from Shormkul. Can definitely tell he's been doing some calf raises in the gym. Kalis London can't quite hold on to his feet there and slips over a bit. Tormai back through the middle of the field now. We're met by strong contact there from Sulla and Lefau. Sulla rakes the ball out in cries of a one-on-one strip, but not quite the rules that we play in Auckland here, Vigo, and it's met with a penalty against Papakura for a 2-on-1 strip.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want after points. A penalty at the back end of your set. Now you're straight into good ball, hot on attack. Like we saw early in the, late in the first half, you know, Richmond were able to pile some points when they had opportunity in the good ball zone. So looking forward to seeing what they can do on this occasion with the likes of Beau Courts and Hawaii.
And they shift over to the left-hand side now. Some cries for a penalty there against Lefau, but when you look at big man and little man, usually the big man wins as Nahe gets to the middle of the field now, met by Terrell Sulla for Papakura. They play right to Annandale, who plays out the back to Beau Courts, gets it away to his winger and Waikare Ratima, but they don't find success down that right edge again. And Papakura managed to hold them out on that occasion, Vigo.
Yeah, again, some good defense, maybe again a little bit too lateral. I thought Beau Courts could have put his head back there and had a dart, but he ended up trying to draw and pass. It was a nice lead run there by the centre. You're probably more likely to score if Beau Courts holds on to that one and goes himself.
Yeah, exactly, Vigo. However, we don't find ourselves with Richmond adding an extra 4 points, and Papakura will have to work their way back up the field now and hopefully apply some pressure to this Richmond side. There mustn't be too long left for Arthur Crichton to sit on the park bench other side of the field for another few minutes. So it'll be interesting to see how Papakura can steer their attack. Without Crichton there on the field, no doubt Daly Dutton will do a great job in the absence of Crichton. On their way back up the field now, this time they find Susumia. Been a little bit quiet today, the ball just hasn't really gone out to his edge, and he finds himself coming in for a good carry there with a few extra post-contact meters. Lefau there settling the attack in the middle of the field. They go left to Dutton, who drops under Dawson and gets the ball away to Sulla eventually to straighten up the attack, and they'll go back to the middle with Dawson now, who on his day has been a classy player and played lots of rep football as well, and great to see him back in the Auckland competition as well. And Proctor Harwood met out of dummy half there from Savilio Thompson. Dutton goes to the heavens. It's going to be a tough one there for Richmond to take. It ends up in the hands of Susimia. Doesn't quite go the way they need to, and we see a knock-on from Papakura there as we take a look at the slow-mo action. What a camera angle this is, Vigo.
It is something new this year that we've introduced. Massive shout out to the Beyond the Dugout crew taking on our live stream this year.
If we can see that camera angle every week, then Vigo might actually be able to see what he's doing as we're back into the action. Mikey Williams getting their way back up the field now, and they go wide this time to Savilio Thompson, who on his day can be a damaging player as well. They probably just need to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. Timmy on from the interchange bench as well, getting them some extra meters up the field, breaking away from a couple of tackles. They go back to the right through Shormkul. Hopefully earns a quick play the ball, but doesn't manage to hold on to his lollies and comes away with an error there, this Shormkul. Not what they'd want at that point of the field.
No, unfortunately, again, just some ball security. We like to call that a bit of a sausage grip back in the under sixes. Fortunately, just can't hold on to the ball there, and now Papakura will go straight on the attack on the 50 metre.
Some prime real estate here for Papakura to extend their lead. Hopefully, and if we see, once we see Arthur Crichton back on the field for Papakura, who knows what we can see from the Sea Eagles side. But they play right off the scrum, and that time they find their back rower in Siawe Tungoiu. Maybe a centre rather than a back rower, but they go to the other centre that time, and Tafi Tuale has been pretty good out on that right hand edge for Papakura. Has Tuale there back towards the middle of the field now. Lefau takes a carry. Proctor Howard at a dummy half to Dawson, who finds Dutton, who plays short to Tamihana Paruru. Back towards the middle of the field. Now that time through Sulla. Breaks away from first contact initially. Atai in back play there. Looks to be in a world of pain. Hopefully he can do enough to just hold out the set. Still last tackle here for Papakura. Richmond won't want to leg points here, but worrying signs here for Delano Atai holding on to that leg. One of the key players in this Richmond side gets an opportunity at hooker, and hopefully we don't see him come away with an injury there, Vigo.
Yeah, he's coming off the field straight away. Unfortunately, just got jammed up in that tackle. And, yeah, we'll see him replaced by Darius Newmata, a bloke that you've spoken highly of.
Yeah, quite a talented junior through the Richmond junior system. Newmata has played a bit of junior rep football for the Akarana Falcons as well. So he'll see his opportunity out on the field now, albeit in a possibly unfamiliar position at dummy half, but sometimes you get your opportunities in unfamiliar positions anyway. So they work back up the field that time again through Caleb Savilio Thompson, who we've talked on a bit. We see Sayulia Harrison Sutton back on the field now for his second stint to finish the match. They go right to Courts, who thinks it over the defensive line. Finds some grass in behind the Papakura defence, but it manages to get taken eventually by Masina Tui Vailopa.
Inside the 10.
But we see Papakura rewarded with a penalty for some kick chases in front of the football there, Vigo.
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously timing off the kick. Our edge defenders just a bit too eager there to get down the paddock, and now again Papakura get a penalty to get themselves out of trouble and put some pressure on straight away. As I can't imagine. Arthur is back on the field. Arthur Crichton now back on the field after spending his 10 minutes on the naughty bench. Yeah,
great to. You could probably class that as a win for Papakura, not leaking too many points while Crichton was on the bench. But to be fair, Richmond hadn't really had much opportunities up that end of the field. They came away with the cherries on one occasion, but on the second one they couldn't quite cross the line, however. So Papakura near the halfway line of the Greyland Park field at the moment, but can't quite hold on to the borders to Rausella, and referee Parkinson says you've got to hold on to the ball cuts, and we'll see Richmond with the scrum on the halfway line here, Vigo.
Yeah, unfortunately, Terrell Sellers had a really good game up until now. He's, been that workhorse through the middle, taking tough carries, made his tackles. Unfortunately, they're just making a bit of a meal out of it in the ruck. As he's still down, it looks like he'll get attended to by their physio. First game cramps, maybe.
Yeah, you'd think that might have been a bit of an occurrence. We saw it a lot in the reserve grade game before this matchup. You've got to think that maybe with not a whole lot of football between last season and where we're at the moment, that there might be a few sore bodies after this one, and come Monday they'll probably still be feeling it, no doubt. Back in your prime heyday, Vigo, when you were playing Fox Memorial as some would say a second rower, I'd say as a front rower, no doubt you probably saw some cramps in round one and maybe even through pre-season as well.
I wasn't lucky enough to play second rower at a Fox level, but I was actually playing for Papakura. Got to wear the 8 jersey, which was very precious to myself. Shoulders couldn't handle it though, and I found myself taking up the whistle instead. But definitely a few cramps, a few pulled muscles. Definitely sore. Like, when you're a young fella playing Fox Memorial, coming through the grades, the old fellas teach you a few tricks after the game, and you end up being sore for maybe 2-3 days as opposed to 24 hours. But that's the beauty of grassroots footy, and I'm sure a lot of the young fellas coming through the grades will get to experience the joys of it one day.
Hopefully we don't see too many sore heads after round 1 tomorrow morning as we see the game back underway. This time they go left off the scrum. They find Ethan Fingota, who finds himself at a new club this year after playing for the Te Arotu Roosters last year. A well-needed transfer for the Richmond Rovers after quite a low player turnover, but quality player turnover for Richmond. So much needed out in the senses there. They go right to Tormai, who plays early to Annandale. Doesn't quite go to hand, so Courts manages to throw a 20-metre pass back over to London, and then finds Daniel Salsal, who holds onto the footy eventually. And they go back to the right again. They go to Tormai in the middle. He's met strong there by Keanu Dawson and Terrell Sala. Straightens up their attack a little bit, and New Mata in at dummy half. Goes to Annandale, plays short to Zavilio Thompson. A bit of a double lead run there, and they go to the first lead runner. They go back to Annandale, who plays to Sayuli Aliti Harrison. Sutton goes close, but not close enough to add 4 points. So well done for Papakura there to hold out Richmond, and Richmond are going to need to start seeking some answers soon.
Yeah, some desperate defence there coming across by the Papakura second rower there, and just managed to stop that try. It was a beautiful play on the last tackle. As we see a Papakura player tended to by the physio, finding his feet now. An opportunity goes begging for Richmond now, as they need to force an error and score some points.
A really crucial period of the game here for Richmond, as we see Papakura get the game back underway that time through. Sosimia finds some metres forward, but then gets dragged a little bit sideways there from Salsal. Some strong contact there from Sutton. It's been great in his second stint on the field here for Richmond.
This is exactly what you want. High energy defense, 3 tackles still inside the 10 metres as Papakura as they try to spread it wide.
They're going to need to carry that high energy through this last 11 minutes of the game, and they come away with an error again. Richmond exactly where they want to be on the field, and a perfect chance here for them to close that gap from 14 points to hopefully closer, as we see on the Lotus Foreign Exchange replay. Not a whole lot of hands around the football there from Richmond. Maybe a bit of a knee in there from Savilio Thompson, but from our prime seats here in the commentary box, I'm going to agree with that man in the middle out there, Vigo.
I certainly am too, and I think this is exactly what Richmond wanted, and as we mentioned just before, time is running out, so this is the opportunity. If they want to make something of this comeback, they need to score here and then put the pressure on for the last few minutes.
As we see another bit of a stoppage in play here, this time for Tafia Tuali over the right-hand side of Papakura's defence here. It's been quite stable for this Papakura side. Out on this right-hand edge has Ituali. Been quite good for them defensively and really held his job, and like we've kind of touched on, you need those players every now and again who are very safe and will give you 8 out of 10 every week, Vigo.
Yeah, you're right. Obviously, they're the key to any success. Are those 1% of players who just give their all every play and make the right decisions. As we see Richmond now hold on attack, 10 metres out from the try line. Bo Court throws a bit of a lob, speculated out the back.
Doesn't quite go to hands there of Mikey Williams, so they'll start their attack just under 30 metres out. New Mata taking a carry there. Love to see your smaller players taking a carry every now and again. There's New Mata. Courts filling in at dummy half, finds Sutton, who brings a great carry there. There's Sutton, a very stable player in the second stint here for Sutton. Does he hold onto the football? Yes, he does. They go right that time to Tormai. Plays out the back to Annandale, who finds Courts, who gets it away. That time to Willie Time, who can't quite get over the line. Court's looking at his option and plays deep to Annandale, who gets it off to Shomku. Straightens up the attack and goes himself. Coming into the back end of the set now is Richmond. They play out the back to London, doesn't quite go to hand. So Richmond, an opportunity gone begging for them with not too long left in the Storm on Shield matchup here at Greyland Park. Papakura just going to need to hold out this Richmond side, and they'll come away with the Storm on Shield hopefully in 8.5 minutes.
You can definitely see also energy levels are down both sides, making some uncharacteristic errors now as Papakura struggle to bring the ball out of their half. Some big contact there, and we've got Annandale now down with a bit of an injury.
The round one cramp strike again, as we see Arthur Crichton taking care of himself. We knew he played a bit of back row over in Australia. Gets the offload away to Dowie. Dowie thinks it himself. He's got a great chase here, and Masina Tuivailopa can't quite get it to go to his hands, unfortunately.
That man, Mikey Williams, again, backing up and getting Richmond out of trouble.
Richmond working their way back up the field now. That time through. That time Richmond just needing to find their way back up the field. Now they're still 10 metres out from their own try line. Now they find themselves crossing the 20-metre line and 25 out from their try line. Courts finds Trent Shumku there, who's been very safe for this Richmond side as well. When you look at it, he's a classy front rower. Courts gets to a kick, probably not the kick that he needed. Ends up in the hands of Masino Tuivailopa. And 40 metres out from their own try line. That's not a bad place to start their set there, Vigo.
No, unfortunately, Bo Court's probably just trying to make something out of nothing there and giving them an opportunity to maybe pull off something magical here. Unfortunately, don't go his way, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Now Papakura into the Richmond half of the field. At that time they take the carry up through. Looks to be Lewis Osimia. And now Papakura earn themselves a penalty as well. TJ Salima earning his team a penalty there, and Trent Shomku there. Some great contact there, but just a little bit too high there. A great carry there from Lewis Osimia. He's quite a talented winger, Osimia. On his day, he's like a lot of players across either side. He can be one of the best in the comp, and you can tell he certainly played at some higher levels, hasn't he, Vigo?
Yeah, he has obviously represented the Junior Warriors on multiple occasions, and played a bit of New South Wales Cup, which is the reserve side to the Warriors, so he's definitely a class player. As we see Papakura look to take the two to give their team a well-earned rest. Lots of players down now with cramp and getting the old pickle juice in, yeah.
Lots of round one cramp starting to filter in, which is no doubt going to be something happening across multiple fields this afternoon as grassroots footy gets back underway. And how good is it to see grassroots football back, not only on our ARL YouTube, as James Dowie adds the extra 2 points there, extend the lead to 30 points to 14, but grassroots football back across the Auckland district, Vigo. It's great to see so many grades like the Fox Memorial, as well as the open age restricted as well, and all of our junior grades getting back underway, Vigo. Yeah,
it's really good to see participation is up across the board in the Auckland district with 9% growth. So we've got about 950 extra players this time.
Grassroots football
as opposed
back
to last year, Joey. And
not only on
our
ARL YouTube,
a lot more youth
as
and juniors coming through the grades. Our game is predominantly made up of 90% of Pacifica Māori. So we've also seen a big influx of our European brothers as well come across. So looking forward to how this grows over the next 12 months even further as we build our partnerships with key stakeholders like the Warriors.
Great to see so much people taking up the action here in our grassroots game as Dutson takes a hold of the football and can't get it away to his forward pack, but we see Stedman Lefau can't quite wind up through a bit of a wonky pass, but at this point in the game, Vigo, you'll just want to see Papakura complete and maybe see a bit of razzle-dazzle from this Richmond side coming out their own end.
Yeah, that's what you want from your Papakura Sea Eagles here. If I was Coach Rooker, you'd just be telling them, so let's get through our sets. We don't need to do anything flashy. We're up 16 points on the scoreboard and looking really strong with carries like that through Johnny Proctor and the likes of Arthur Crichton and Keanu Dawson here.
Yeah, Keanu Dawson, a very talented middle forward. Spent the last few seasons playing for the Forestland Falcons down in Tukurua. Shout out to Forestlands, one of the great clubs down in the Tukurua region, and great to see them feeding us some quality players like Keanu Dawson. Mikey Williams winding up and met by some strong contact there from Terrell Suller. No doubt they would have done many a battles across the years. Courts filling in at dummy half finds Ethan Fingota out on his left edge. Probably hasn't had much opportunities again. Like the edge on opposite him. Ethan Fingota, he's played for the Auckland Vulcans last year and a very talented footballer on his day, but probably hasn't seen as much opportunity as he would have wanted, Vigo.
Yeah, no, I guess they've been going right a lot for the Richmond Rovers, and the likes of Annadale and Bo Courts like to play that side a lot more. So as we see, a nice little run here, Newmata.
Darius Newmata breaking up the middle of the field through some good marker work. They throw it wide to Waikare Ratima, but can't quite go to hand for him, and the dribble's over into touch, and that may very well see Papakura hold on to the or gain the Stormont Shield rather, as we take a look at the Lotus Foreign Exchange replay. Newmata just broke through some sloppy Papakura defense there. Tried to get the pass away to Ratima, but didn't quite get to hand, and no doubt if the pass would have got to Ratima there, they might have seen another 4 points added to the board there.
Yeah, and a glimmer of hope maybe for Richmond. Unfortunately, I think it's a pretty tough ask now to score 18 points, 17 points if you will, to try and get this one back. It's been a toughly contested match against both sides. They've both had their moments. Unfortunately, I think, to be honest, the discipline has been the thing that's maybe kept Papakura up ahead, and that'll be something on the drawing board, I guess, for Coach Nicholas and the team of Richmond during the week.
No doubt they won't be too disheartened after this matchup, Vigo. At the end of the day, it's still only round one, and we've still got 10 weeks of football left to play this season, which will no doubt hold them in good stead to hopefully go back-to-back in the Fox Memorial this year for the Richmond Rovers and make it 2 titles. Obviously being their last one coming way back in 1980 when you were probably in diapers, Vigo, so hopefully they can add another title to the cabinet this year, as Dutton will go to the heavens. An easy one there for Course to take, being the classy fullback that he is. Some great footwork there. Breaks away from a couple of tackles. Finds Savilio Thompson. Jinks and jives and breaks through the initial contact there of Sulla. As well as, I'm assuming, Arthur Crichton there. He gets a bit of a high five to the lip there, this Crichton, but plays allowed to continue. Up over the 40-metre line now was Richmond, and Newmata in at dummy half. Great to see, despite the efforts going down, it's great to see Richmond blooding in a few younger players like Kalis London as we see them earn a penalty. They're allowed to go quickly. That time through Waikare Ratima. But despite the scoreboard being the way it is, Vigo, like we were talking about before the penalty, it's great to see some young players earn opportunities to cement a spot on the Premier side. Kalis London being one of them, earning his first start. Delano Atai getting a start on the side as well. Has been in the side for a couple of years now, but his first great bet opportunity to start, as we see Sione Ngahe across the line. Closes the scoreboard that time. 30 points to 18. Papakura still holding on to the league. The Jeepers, I probably need to go to some English lessons on Monday when I go back to work. 30 points to 18. Papakura holding on to the lead over Richmond at the moment. As we take a look at the replay there, Courts finding Sione Ngahe from close range, and especially when he's so close out, he's not that easy to stop there, Vigo. I'm sure you probably wouldn't want to be a front row in front of him.
No, that's a tough ask for anybody, to be honest with you. A consolation try, to say the least, for Richmond. A nice little heads-up play there between Courts and Nahi. Probably the right note to sign off this game on. And you know, if we're back at high school, Joey, and we were playing last try wins, well, there'd be hot favourites right now, I'll tell you that.
It's definitely one of the favourite games out at James Cook High School, the greatest high school known to Auckland. Is a good old touch game of last try wins. Hopefully that's not the last try we see from Richmond today to close the scoreboard a little bit more. But we see time to wave back on for Papakura to get us back underway. A 10-point lead they're still holding on to over Richmond, as we see Sione Ngahi winding up off the back fence. And you wouldn't want to be wearing that Papakura number 8 jersey anymore if you go see Ngahi running off the back fence. They work their way back towards the middle of the field. Now does Richmond, that time through Daniel Salsal, and he's been quite safe for them today as Salsal, but they work their way across the field now. This time through, that time there through Civilio Thompson. Back in the middle of the field now was Tromkul, crosses up over the halfway line, and a great carry there for the Richmond side. If you're taking a look at the clock, you could probably blame Vigo for that one. He hasn't put enough budget in for that. However, we see Kalis London with the football, gets the offload away to Courts, who manages to find Annandale, takes it himself, gets the offload away again, and Courts finds himself over the scoreboard. He's going to let the Papakura supporters know about that one and closes the lead. Papakura 30, Richmond 24.
An absolute beautiful way to finish the game here for Richmond. I'd assume there is not much longer left, if not the hood is gone already. As we see the shift down the left edge, that man London again with his first start. Nice little suave offload back to Courts, who found Annandale on the inside, and then he gets an offload back to Courts and scores a try and lets everybody know about it. 30 points to 26 now. It still looks like we have time, Joey, so could we have an absolute magical finish here first up in the round of Fox Memorial Premiership ARL League Live? Oh, the hooter goes. And to be honest, it looks like they get out of jail free here. They played their Monopoly card.
Well, we saw a similar story in the first half. Richmond storming home. However, it's not enough. Papakura managed to hold on to that one, taking the victory 30 points to 26 over a very strong Richmond side who no doubt will be one of the top contenders in the Fox Memorial competition this year. We'll take a quick break and we'll head out onto the field to have a chat to some of our key players from today. But Papakura take the Stormont Shield home for 2025, 30 points to 26 over Richmond. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with you shortly for some interviews. Right, here now with captain of the Richmond Rovers, Casey Tormai. Casey, probably not the starts of the season that you want, but still very early days. How did it feel out on the field today?
Yeah, no, you're 100%. You know, it wasn't the start that we wanted. We knew both teams would struggle because we didn't have the qualifiers, you know, to trying to get a head start. So it was a first hit out for both teams, but yeah, definitely Kura were definitely the better team today. So. Yeah.
Definitely very early days in the comp, but like you said, you know, it's a bit tough to build up into the season without any qualifying period. How do you think that's affected the playing squad this season?
Well, you know how it goes, man. You usually take about 2 to 3 weeks to get your match fitness and get your combinations. So we're just going to continue to build one game at a time, and hopefully, you know, we can find our feet later on in the season.
Tough matchup in the middle as well. I don't know how you guys can do it, but how do you think your side went today despite the scoreboard being where it ended up?
Well, I'm pretty sure you could see everyone was going down cramps, like both sides. You can see both the middles were struggling, but hey, that's footy. Outside, yeah, like I said, you know, it's a match fitness. No matter how fit you are, when you come out and play, you know, you're always going to try and get used to it. So we're going to build on that, and our middles will, continue to push. Thank you.
Great effort today, Skip, and no doubt we'll see you sometime later in the year, but all the best for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Right, we managed to find the skipper for Papakura Seagulls today, Arthur Crichton. Arthur, our player of the match today as well, so no doubt a well-earned player of the match for yourself, as well as, you know, the 2 points for your Papakura side. How did it feel out on the field today?
It was good. First of all, I just want to give glory and thanks to our Heavenly Father for this day. It was tough. We knew it was going to be tough, but we had a chip on our shoulder from last year, and we brought that motivation into, even though we have a few missing people from our team from last year, but our mentality and our focus and our motivation was to get the dub today, and we got there. So, a bit scrappy, but we got there.
You spent a bit of time in the naughty chair as well, did you, Arthur? But it looked like a tough game out there, both sides taking it to each other. I guess how, you know, and a lot of players going down with the round one cramps, as we said in the commentary booth. So how's the body feeling after that one? No doubt you've taken a few injuries through your career as well, so just tell us how the body's feeling after that. Yeah, good. Just a brain explosion there, and just trying to defend, but just silly mistakes that will cost us the game. As soon as I went off, obviously they scored a try there, and I think we need to invest in more salt pill in our team. So after the team went down there with cramps, but we dug deep, we hung in there, and we got the dub. That's the main thing. We'll go back to the drawing board and we'll look at that second half and how we can work on and improve on it. Where do you think the game was won for your side today? You had some really good starts to both halves, but then we kind of saw once the fatigue started to set in, Richmond kind of clawed the lead back. How do you think you can adjust on that one leading into the remainder of the season? I think it's just an attitude when tough time comes around. Now, we always talk about stepping up, you know, in the good times, but when it's the tough times, that's when we need character to step out. So we'll go back to our drawing board and we'll look at this video session. We're glad the game was filmed, and there'll be a lot of people be held accountable for their actions, and it's learning. Yeah, there's nothing to put anyone down, but it's just learning pathways for all of us to improve on. So. Congrats on getting the 2 points today, as well as the first piece of silverware for 2025, the Stormont Shield. So go and celebrate the win, and no doubt we'll see you sometime later in the season. Awesome. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, as we just trying to get all our players from here, there and everywhere at Grayland Park back in for our post-match presentations of the Stormont Shield, as well as our Wolf Security Player of the Match. Vigo, what a match we saw this afternoon. Papakura, a very strong start in both halves, and Richmond trying to storm home but couldn't quite get the job done in the end, but a cracker of a way to start our season.
Yeah, definitely some promising signs for both sides heading into what will be a long Fox season. Both teams no doubt will find themselves in finals come finals time, and some definitely takeaways for Richmond from this game. Despite the scoreboard, they definitely came home strong. They bled a couple of young ones. 7 or so changes from last year versus maybe only 1 or 2 from the Papakura side. It was definitely the season opener that we were looking for.
Exactly the way we wanted to start the 2025 season. As we're just about underway with our post-match presentations here, the Wolf Security Player of the Match. This afternoon, we just spoke to him before. Arthur Crichton spent some time in the naughty chair, but when he was on the field for the other 70 minutes, what a player he was, Vigo.
Yeah, certainly. He definitely orchestrated the entire day today, and I think we'll be moving over to the interviews shortly, but, you know, scoring one of his own, setting up a few. He definitely had the ball on a string today.
And now we're ready for our post-match presentations. We'll hand that over to Auckland Rugby League Chief Executive, Dwayne Mann.
Play of last year's grand final. How amazing was the game, the first game of the year, and we get a quality match like that. So congratulations. Thank you very much to Richmond for a marvellous game, and to Papakura, congratulations on your first success for 2025 and your march to the Fox. So well done, congratulations.
All right, we'll get you to present that trophy to the captain, Arthur Crichton.
Well done, Arthur. Thanks, mate. Yeah, thank you.
And Arthur, you stay there. I'll call in one of Auckland Rugby League's other sponsors, Pat Wolf. Pat, come on over, Pat. Pat, stay here, Darren. Pat is General Manager, owner of Wolf Security, and along with Darren Brady, will present the Stormont Shield. So first game of the season between Richmond and Papakura. On contest was the Stormont Shield. 100 years old, the Stormont Shield. First played in 1925. So congratulations, Papakura Sea Eagles, taking out the first trophy for the year, the Stormont Shield.
Awesome. Get to all the boys. Yeah, thank you. Okay, all the boys come over. All the boys. Thanks, bro. Thank you. Get all your boys in. Thanks, babe. Jump in there, Darren.
And that is us for week 1 here of Auckland Rugby League. Live to you from Grayland Park. Papakura winning the Stormont Shield. And the first piece of silverware for 2025, 30 points to 26 over the Richmond Rovers. Vigo, any last comments before we finish up for the afternoon?
Now, fantastic blockbuster match to start us off. Really looking forward to the weeks ahead with Beyond the Dugout and the footage that will come live to you every couple of weeks. Next week we do have the Women in League round, which will be huge down at Cornwall Park for our wahine in action. Make sure you come down or watch live on our ARL YouTube channel or Facebook. But that's us signing off from Grayland Park. Thank you very much on behalf of Joseph and myself, Vigo. Have a great rest of your evening and enjoy the week ahead.
Breaks through the initial contact, and from that tackle attempt again, gets the pass away, tries to get it to Polo. I want to see in our grassroots football, Salima coming onto the ball, and some big contact there from, of course, we don't think there's any, and they're shifting wide, ends up in the hands of, with a penalty from referee Parkinson. Strong contact there from Marcina Tui Vailopa. Ends up in the hands of ends it up in the hands there of Willie Time. Massive contact, and it's met with a penalty from referee Parkinson. Strong contact there from Masina Tuivailopa. Whether you think that's a penalty or not, Vigo, that's completely up to you, but on the field today we've got a penalty, and we see Richmond getting the game back underway. This time we met with another penalty, and it's close to the try line, doesn't quite get there yet. Atai in the dummy half, jinks out to top. Mahu finds courts, goes wide, finds it back to Sevilio Thompson, doesn't quite go to hand for Annandale. Plays allowed to continue, courts finds Ratima out on their right hand side for Richmond. Round solid for Papakura. They play right to Annandale, who plays out the back to Bo Courts, gets it away to his winger and Waikare Ratima.
Off the kick.
And Richmond are going to need to start taking some answers soon.
Yeah, some desperate defence there coming across by the first second rower there, and just managed to stop that try. Beautiful.
As we see Arthur Crichton taking care of himself. We knew he played a bit of back row over in Australia. Gets the offload away to Dowie. Dowie thinks it himself. He's got a great chase here, and Masina Tuivailopa. Grassroots football back, not only on our ARL YouTube.
If I was Coach Rooker, you'd just be telling them to just keep your sets. We don't need to do anything flashy. We're up 16 points on the scoreboard and looking really strong with carries like that.
In the Tukurua region, and great to see them feeding us some quality players like Keanu Dawson, Mikey Williams winding up, and met by some strong contact there from Terrell.
As we see a nice little run here, Newmata.
Darius Newmata breaking up the middle of the field through some good marker work. They throw it wide to Waikare Ratima. Start on the side as well. Has been in the side for a couple of years now, but his first great fair opportunity to start. As we see Sione Ngahi across the Richmond side. If you're taking a look at the clock, you could probably blame Vigo for that one. He hasn't put enough budget in for that. However, we see Kalis London with the football, gets the offload away to Courts, who manages to find Annandale, takes it himself, gets the offload away again, and Courts finds himself over the scoreboard. He's going to let the Papakura supporters know about that one.